Hey, this is Corey Barnes.
And this is Lisa Caperton, and you're listening to Her Turn to Talk.
What are you drinking? You got a green smoothie happening?
I got a green smoothie.
That's nice.
I have a mint plant, so I've been making lots of different mint smoothies. And this one has pineapple, a little mango, a little sweetener, a little bit of banana, and almond milk and water. It's yummy. Oh, and chard. Swiss chard. Got to have a little green in there.
Yeah. That's good. How have you been doing? How's life?
Life is all right. I had a little, I was fighting this paycheck protection loan stuff, and now there's a forgiveness application out, and it makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And so I was fighting that and getting so upset and angry about it. And then something happened, and I said, I'm not doing this. I'm not fighting. Like, I guess it doesn't have to be done right now anyway, and Congress is going to be rewriting it because I'm not the only one extremely frustrated and angry and saying that this isn't right. So it sounds like Congress is going to change.
Are they like trying to make you pay back money?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what I heard.
All
yeah. That's what I like. Somebody else who did that, and she even has a smaller business than you, like really small. And she was like, what was the point of me getting this if like that does me no good?
I didn't even want it in the first place. I didn't want it. I didn't want to have anything to do with the government, to be honest. But everyone kept saying, I'm blaming it on everybody. Everyone kept saying, do it. This is what it's there for. It's going to be forgiven. There's going to be forgiveness. Well, now you should see this application, Lisa. Oh my God. First of all, look how many pages it is.
Wow.
Pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12-page application. This is the SATs for advanced prodigies. There's calculations but to apply to the loan, and they told in the actual contract of the loan, it stated forgiveness rules. And I know it did say in the contract as well that things could change throughout the whole contract, but like this is the forgiveness rules were like 3 things, and it was easy. Right. To follow. The whole process has been ridiculous. So I've let go. And I saw this meme of this staircase, and it was like, it was all these steps, you know? And it was like, if climbing the whole staircase seems overwhelming, just take it one step at a time. And so, you know what? That whole staircase is way too overwhelming. It's not even, my bank isn't even ready yet to accept applications anyway. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. And I'm just taking a step at a time. And there's something about knowing that there's 3.8 million people in the whole entire world that are also experiencing this.
Right, you're definitely not alone. Yeah.
No. So, but I feel good about that because I've been able to let go. I've been riding my bike. I played tennis last night. I've been being really active. I got my wedding dress back. It's all hemmed and ready.
That's exciting.
It's very exciting. And I put on all the wedding stuff yesterday and showed our guest Toni, Antoinette Weil, who's also my best friend since freshman year of high school. I was sending her Marco messages of me wearing the whole outfit, and it felt right. So I'm really excited about that. And we're under 30 days that Travis and I are gonna go and exchange vows privately up in the mountains. So that's coming.
That's super exciting. Yeah. So you guys do get to go to the mountains and have your private ceremony with you guys, just you two?
As long as they keep everything open, which I can't imagine them shutting things down again.
Yeah, so far it doesn't seem like the numbers are going up, so fingers crossed. Yeah.
But
hopefully all those, fools didn't ruin it on Memorial Day weekend.
I know. Well, and Gunnison County's back open. And they're letting visitors in. So if I wanted to go today, I could. So, yeah. So that's the plan.
That's exciting.
So what do you been up to?
Well, I like I was just telling you, I'm in my project. I'm going to refinish my kitchen table. I've never done any kind of DIY project before. It's literally have nothing I know nothing. I joined a woodworking Facebook group. I joined a refinishing Facebook group, and those people have been helping me so much because I'm just like posting pictures, asking what to do. And then I remembered that my dad does a lot of woodworking, and so I've been calling him. So yesterday I went to Home Depot, which is also the first time I've been to a store.
I was going to ask.
So I went to Home Depot to get my supplies, and I had to call my dad twice while I was there because I was like confused. And thank gosh that I had him to talk to, because he was like, oh, don't forget you need something, you need some kind of paint thinner or something to rinse off your brush and this and that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have even thought about that. So I would have because I'm staining some and painting some. But I just finished. That's where I look kind of crap. I have this hat on because I was just finished doing one chair to practice. We have like an extra one in our basement, so I'm going to practice on that, but it goes to the same set. And I got it all sanded. I thought I did a great job. I had bought a sander, and then I had hand sanding. I did everything I was supposed to do. I put on my first coat of stain, and I can see tons of tiny scratches like from the sandpaper. I was like, motherfucker. So like calling my dad, and he said I was probably like moving the sander too fast over it. So I need to like go back over and try to fix it. But it's really hard because you feel it and you can't see those tiny scratches, and you can't even feel them at all. They're so tiny, but when you put that stain on, they like really show up.
Huh.
So I don't know. I'll keep you posted how the project goes.
How do you know which number sandpaper to get? Don't they have come in numbers?
They do. And so I've learned, so if you're going to sand off a finish instead of using like a stripper, which is like a lot of chemicals, then you start low. So you started with 80. And so that is like a harsher grit. And then you can move up to like 120. And then I used 150. And then you always finish with 220 grit sandpaper is your finishing paper.
Huh.
So anyway, so that was my first store. And then today I went to Costco. So now I have been to 2 stores.
Cool.
And it wasn't bad.
How was it? It wasn't bad at Costco?
No, it wasn't bad. It was starting to pick up. I got there like 11. They opened at 10, I guess. But it was starting to pick up when I left. But overall, it wasn't bad.
I have now found everything except wipes.
Oh, I found wipes today at Costco.
You did? I almost texted you and said, if you find wipes, we grab me some, but I'll go check them out there. Like Clorox wipes?
No, they're just the Costco
Generic
brand,
Gotcha.
But they say that they're disinfecting wipes.
Cool.
So
I found everything else that we used, like 409
They were
spray.
they're over on this little pallet area right by the eggs. Before you walk into the cooler where the eggs are, they're right
down
there, like across from the laundry detergent.
Yeah.
So I just happened to need eggs, and so I was walking in there and I saw them. Otherwise, I totally would have missed them.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, cool. You ventured out.
yeah,
So is the family
did.
venturing out too?
We have let each boy expand by 1. So each boy has a friend in the neighborhood whose families we also know really well, and we know that they have been, practicing very good social distancing skills. So each boy has been able to see one friend, but only for like outside play, and like they just go on a bike ride basically, or they go, hang out. We had Kona Ice came through the neighborhood, so we went over to one of their houses and stood outside and had snow cones outside. But that's kind of all we've expanded for now. I've been getting really frustrated actually. I've had some people, and I know it's all very well intentioned and very nice. Like I've been invited to some bigger social things.
Oh, you have?
And also wanting to have people like family wanting to come and visit us type things. And we just don't want to do that. And I have found with a couple of people in particular that are just not taking no as an answer. Like we have been very clear, like very simple stating, we are not there yet. Like we're not expanding that, that much. We also are not accepting out of town guests into our house. Especially like there's nothing open and can't do a lot. So it's like, and Danny's working from home. And so it's like, he doesn't want extra people in our house. Like, it's already tough enough with us. Like, we don't want to add to the mix. Right. But then people are just not necessarily, some people are not taking no. Like, they are like kind of coming back and like, well, you know, that they've changed the facts on this, and sending articles and sending these, like, trying to push their agenda and like convince us. And I'm like, this is not open for debate. I didn't say, please convince me to socialize with you. I said no. And it's just really frustrating, because I feel like this is just, you know, we're all handling things the best we can. And I think we all just need to respect each other's boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And not push each other. If somebody's not comfortable with something, then we don't need to be pushing something on them, and like, let it happen when they're ready to let it happen. And if they say no, or that they're not ready yet, then you accept that answer.
Yeah.
I don't know how you
ridiculous
think with that, if you've had a lot of that stuff happening or not.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. I haven't had that happen at all.
Okay.
I've been invited to gatherings, but the gatherings that I've been invited to, 10 people, the max, and it's outside.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go to somebody's birthday tomorrow, and I don't have plans to stay very long.
Yeah.
Played tennis with a couple of people. I haven't been invited to anything big. But I've said yes to a lot of things. Oh, and like, you know, actually, I've said no to a couple of gatherings, but nobody gave smaller gatherings.
Well, I think it gets tricky when you have, like, there's 4 of us, right? And so now I'm venturing out, going to the store, and the kids are seeing a friend. And so that all multiplies very quickly once we all start adding more people. You know what I mean? And so I don't think sometimes people think about, they're like, well, you know, you're only going to see me, but, you know, they might, you know, but you're like, I know that you have seen, you know, 20 other people, and now you're exposing me to the 20 people you've been hanging out with, and now I'm exposing you to everybody I'm also hanging out with as well.
Yeah.
And we're going to let Ryan do another band camp, so he'll be starting like band practices, which is going to be quite interesting. They I don't know if you've seen on my Facebook page, I posted pictures. He had a concert already.
No.
And so they had a concert outside, and the kids wore their masks except for the singer, and they played outside. But he's going to do another one of those. But the last time they had to do, they've been doing virtual practice, and so they did great. Those kids did great for not being able to practice together, but now they're going to be practicing together. So
that's cool.
They have lots of precautions, 7 feet apart. Kids have to wear the mask and all that stuff. But we're definitely exposing a little more.
A bunch of camps are opening too. Summer camps here in Colorado. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like,
you should see the precautions that we're getting for school. They've been sending updates on their different plans. And I'm like, it sounds awful. It does not sound fun at all. I do feel bad if that's what they stick to. I'm like, I'd almost rather stay home if I were a kid in some of those circumstances.
Yeah. I've heard about it, but it just sounds I've overheard people fighting about it. I was like,
well, like one of the things is like they'll be staying in the same room like all day long, and the teachers will move, and then the kids also don't even get to leave at lunch. Like they just have to sit, like they'll just be with the same people in the same room all day. And I don't know, they have different versions of phases that they'll do, but we'll see what actually happens. I mean, the truth is, it's like you can't plan shit. Like who the hell knows what next week's gonna look like?
Yeah, I know. I'm still being mindful and stuff. And I've been wearing my mask, and I've been active and trying to stay healthy and eat well. But I'm like, you know, I've seen my mother now. You know, I really haven't. You know, I haven't seen many people, but the people I have seen, it's been outside, and I'm just kind of like, and I still not going to the store like I used to, just because I'm like, you know, I just I don't want to come in contact with too many people. So yeah, just easing back in, I guess, with the rest of the world. Yeah. Is our guest here? Toni, are you here?
Hey guys.
Hi.
Little technical difficulties.
That's the theme of the day.
That's the new world we live in.
Your hair's so long. It looks so good.
Long? I cut it. I did a Corona haircut, so it's a couple inches shorter than it was a month ago.
Oh my gosh, it like looks really good. And that's a Corona. That's a self hair.
I did a Corona cut and color, so making it look good. But I got ready today for you guys. This was a big event, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna put some makeup on my face and maybe do my hair. It's like, ooh, Friday night.
Right? I know. I did my makeup once. So this is Lisa. Lisa, this is Toni.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Toni. I heard all about you.
Face-to-face meet you. I know. I feel like I know you because I've listened to so many of the podcast episodes.
Oh, thanks. I know. I feel like I know you from all Corey's stories.
Oh gosh.
No, they're all good things.
We've got a plethora of different types of stories. So.
Genres.
Yeah.
We were actually just talking about your flight attendant blog post about flight attendant pet peeves, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think how awkward that would be when you were talking about people ignoring you and they just stare at you like you're a mythical creature. If you ask them a question, I was like, does that really happen? Do people just sit there?
Yeah, that happens a lot. People started commenting when I posted it, like other things, like other flight attendants were like, oh, what about this? And I was like, you know what? I think I'll make a part 2, but I'll hold off for a while, and probably after like my first flight back to work, then I'll be ready to make a whole new list. I was pretty gentle with this one, I think.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm sure you're going to have all new kinds of things of people breaking new rules that you're going to have, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. It's like a foreign land to me right now. I haven't been on an airplane since April 5th. And, so I'm not even in the loop of like what's going on. Like, are the flights full? Are people staying away? I've heard the last time I worked, people were so, people just kept to themselves. They were quiet. They were polite. They didn't ask for anything. They just had their masks on and like kept to themselves in their little row. And we had like 9 people per flight. So apparently things are changing and more people are flying now and people are starting to get back to their old flying public ways. But writing that post, I was like, oh, you know what? I think I'm ready. I think I'll take a couple more months off before I go back. As a reminder.
I happened to read it last night too. I cannot believe people stand up while you guys are landing.
Well, people do whatever they want. To be honest, just like people, they don't care, and it's like, I don't care either. Hurt yourself. I don't care, but I can't give you permission to do it. So like, do it on your own. That's why with the seatbelt sign, I don't care. I don't care if you get up when the seatbelt sign is on. I mean, I don't care. Don't bleed on anything. Like, don't hurt yourself, please. I don't want to do paperwork. I don't want to have a medical emergency, but like, I can't tell you yes. So stop. Like, we don't have to have a conversation about it. Just do what you need to do. You know it's like against the rules. Don't try to make me your accomplice.
Well, I like the point that you made, because it's like, I don't care, but yeah, don't bring me into it, because then that becomes a liability, right?
Yeah.
That's a big deal, so I like that point that you made.
Everybody's different. What was that?
I was just going to ask you what the craziest thing you've seen was.
Oh, I mean, this is like easy, because by far, like my craziest airplane story is the time that a guy had explosive diarrhea in his seat. Like he was sleeping. He was sleeping when it happened, and it happened with such force that it went like up.
Wait, did you say he was asleep?
Yes. Yes. I mean, after he woke up, but it happened with such force that it went up over like into the aisle. There was a puddle, and then so the woman sitting behind him, who had followed the rules and placed her bag under the seat in front of her,
oh my God,
her canvas bag was full of dookie, and she's trying to clean it, and I'm like, ma'am, throw the bag away, please. It's not worth it. And that wasn't even the worst part of it. Really, that was like, it was pretty bad. But because, so he was, I believe he was Haitian. He was like a larger Black man. He spoke French. And this was maybe 5 years ago. So then people on my airplane started to have these questions like, well, what's the protocol, and are we going to be notified of like his health condition, and what if it's contagious? And like, I get it, it's gross. Like, I don't know, maybe it is contagious, but the questions were very loaded. It was around the time, it was a little after the Ebola.
Yeah, like maybe a little biased, a little racist. Yeah.
It was a little bit of that. And so we offered medical attention when we landed. He declined medical attention. He said it was through a translator, that he thought it was something he ate. And so I have no power to detain somebody. That's not what we're in the business of doing. So he leaves, and then people were just standing at the gate like, they were like ready to riot. They were so angry, and they were like, as if their health had been compromised. And I get, when your health's on the line, you're afraid, but it was wild. People were just going wild. One lady came back with her big pregnant belly, and she was like, I'm a physician, and I want to know what your protocol is for this kind of thing. And it could be an infectious disease. And I said, oh, it's so great to know that there was a doctor on board while we were dealing with this medical emergency on our own. Thank you for stepping forward. Thanks a lot. You don't have to come and touch him, but maybe tell me what to ask. I don't know, since you're the expert. So that was the wildest thing. We had to be escorted out of the airport, like, because these people were standing at the gate, just like at level, I would say 98. They were like, ooh, going crazy, ready to riot.
Oh my God, shit happens.
Oh my gosh.
Shit happens. Shit happens. And you know what? Every day I do this job, I learn it more and more. Shit happens. You're never the first one. If you have an embarrassing moment, you're never the first one, and you're never the last.
Oh my God. Have you ever missed
I know, I've thrown up on a plane. That's probably about as much as I've heard happen.
You did? I've never puked on a plane. Nothing
I have.
ever
In the bag. I made it in the bag.
Well, that's good. That's what they're there for.
But I felt really horrible having to pass the bag to the flight attendant, because I was like, oh, I hate that you have to take this.
It's, people puke, people pass out all the time. People do not often have explosive diarrhea in their seats. That was, I haven't seen that too many other times, but
oh my God.
Growing up, that happens a lot. So,
Have you had any like scary situations, like with drunk irate people, or just flat out irate people?
I've never had anybody. I did have one guy get into my face on a flight, and I think he was mad about another passenger, to be honest, if I'm remembering correctly. So the great thing is about my job is that when I leave for the night, or when I leave work, it's like done, and I'm not dealing with it anymore. Like, the day's over with. So I never carry stress with me. So even like the most traumatic plane situations, I'm like struggling to remember the details, which is such a good thing. But I think he was shouting at me about another customer who, like, granted, was a little crazy. She was like sitting on the floor with her bare feet out. She seemed like she was just a little having an off day, or maybe she was always a little off. But this guy was so mad about his TV not working, and then he turned the anger towards like this girl that was sitting there, and it was all directed at me, and I was up against a door, and I think we had law enforcement meet that guy. But I've had like drunk people, and I've had people like swear at me, and that we had to have I had one flight where I had to have law enforcement and corporate security meet the airplane when we landed for 2 different customers, for 2 different ones, because one was so drunk that when we cut her off, she refused, like she was not having it. She was hitting the call button every 3 seconds, every moment. It was ding, ding, ding. And she was getting loud and she was dropping all the F-bombs. And then I had, at the same exact time, this guy who just like refused. He would not put his little dog away. And I asked him to, and I explained the policy, and I got someone else to talk to him, because sometimes people just don't like you and they'll listen to someone else. And I don't care. That's fine with me. He was just swearing like a sailor, like I hated his dog and it was my policy and not the airline. I'm like, oh my God, I would only fly dogs if it were my airline. I wouldn't even allow you on the plane, sir. What do you mean? So what was nice about that flight, though, was I got 3 compliment letters from other customers nearby who were like, she handled it so well when this gentleman spoke to her like a sailor and was swearing so rudely at her. And I was like, oh, vindication. Kept my cool.
Yeah. That's nice.
You have to keep your cool now. I would anyway, because none of that stuff's going to ruin my day. And I just have that kind of mentality. But people will like try to just get at you nowadays, and everyone just has their camera out all the time. So my disposition isn't really one to like get wild and huffy, but I mean, yeah, you got to really watch yourself nowadays.
Do you feel that you worked as a bartender before a flight attendant?
Oh yes, for a long time.
For how many years?
Like 5 or 6.
Wow. And
yeah.
do you feel that some of the skills that you learned being a bartender, because I know this because you used to run this big horseshoe shaped bar. It was big.
Yeah.
I went there several times. Did you learn a lot of those skills that just dealing with people in general and the public? Do you feel like you brought any of those skills over into...
Oh my gosh, of course. Yeah. Very, very relevant experience. And oh yeah, the stuff that I learned. What I always think is so interesting is that I worked at that bar for a long time and I felt like I owned the place or something, and I felt super comfortable there. And now I've been with my airline for so long that that's kind of how I feel like on the plane. Like I know what I'm doing. I got this, like just totally at home. And when I was at that bar, people were like, everyone wants to be your best friend. Everyone wants to be your best friend. And now I'm like, oh, I'm serving these people, but that's like a side gig to my real job, which is saving all of their lives. You know, should the occasion arise. I went to training for 30 days and learned like all of these different airplane parts and like a new language, and every like emergency, fire, medical situation. And like, that love is not there. Like no one likes you. Like no one wants to be your friend. No one respects you. They're like, here's my garbage. Can you take this trash? Are you ready for trash yet? I'm like, oh my God, geez. Where's the love? But yeah, so it's a little different because it's like we use the same exact skills. Same exact customer service skills. It's a little more delicate, I would say, like cutting people off. When I worked in a bar and people got drunk at the bar and I had to cut them off, it was very cut and dry. Like, you can't drink anymore. Sorry. If you're not okay with that, then you just get kicked out. But in the air, not quite so simple. So I have to use so because I can't kick someone off, I have to go through all these other initial steps because I don't want that conflict to even arise where like I would get to the point of wanting to kick someone out. So I have to I try to I'll avoid them for a while and then I'll forget to bring something and then I'll try to make a little jokey joke and offer some water. And you just have to be a lot more tactful about it because we're all stuck in a little space. So, short answer, yes. A lot of the same skills. A lot.
Did Lisa freeze? We might. Oh no, she didn't. She's there. I was gonna say you mentioned learning a new language. So learning a new language about airplane language. You learn the inside out of the planes.
Yeah.
And then there's perks, right? And what made me think right away is that you are actually learning another language. And it's not plain language. It's not English.
Yeah.
Would you tell our listeners about your journey of what language you're learning? And
yes, estoy aprendiendo español.
And where the perks of being a flight attendant has brought you?
Yeah. So I decided to start learning Spanish last year, 2019. I had only taken French in high school, and I actually took it for 7 years and remember almost none of it. But I decided to learn Spanish because I travel so much. I work with so many people who are bilingual, and I feel so fortunate that when I do travel, almost anywhere in the world, I can find somebody who speaks English to help me get to where I need to go or communicate with me. And I feel super lucky. But I also feel like, you know what, if you're going to be a citizen traveling in the world, you should know another language too. And like, let's make this a two-way street. So I started learning Spanish in Medellin, Colombia. And when did I leave? February of 2019. I went to Colombia for 6 weeks. I didn't have to take leave from my job because we get our schedules for a full month. So I tend to work about 14 or 15 days a month anyway, which is full time. So I took the last 2 weeks of February off. I took the whole month of March and just used paid time off. And then April, I took the first 2 weeks off, first 1 week off. So I was there for a total of 6 weeks taking classes. I started from the ABCs and got pretty good and came home to Boston in April. Never spoke Spanish again. Lost a lot of the language and decided to pick it back up again. So in October, I moved, quote unquote, to Mexico City. So I had this cute little apartment that I got via Airbnb, no commitments, but I had that for 3 months, and I would just go down there. I would take classes for a couple weeks at a time, and then I would come home, work for 2 weeks, and fly right back down. So I was kind of living a back and forth life, improving my Spanish and working at the same time.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Where else have you traveled? I mean, you get to travel for free, right? So sky's the limit?
Yeah, the sky's the limit, but I travel for free domestically.
Oh.
So on international flights, I always have to pay international taxes. You can't get around that. And if I'm flying my airline international, I just pay that tax, and then that's it. If I fly in a different airline international, then I pay international tax, and I also pay what's called a Z fare. So it's just like a small price. I think it's like under $300 for me to go round trip to, let's say, Germany or something, which is, I mean, it's pretty good. Yeah. It's pretty good. It's all space available. So you have to be willing to alter your plans a little or wait it out in case you don't get on a flight. But
you've been to Oktoberfest a couple of times, like the true Oktoberfest.
Yes, I have been to Oktoberfest a couple times, and it was like mayhem the last time I went. So I've sworn it off unless I'm ever, I don't know, like if I'm ever in a relationship with someone that just like has to do that for their bucket list, I would go maybe. But both times we spent 4 nights in Munich, and we went to like the beer halls, the big tents, like every single night. And I'm in my 30s now. I was dying. I don't think I could do it like that again, but I would love to go to Munich again, like not during Oktoberfest, and get a more cultural experience. So
where's your favorite place that you've been?
Every place I go is my favorite place. I feel like I'm like loving Latin culture right now, and my Spanish journey. It makes me feel closer to the people that I meet when I travel. So right now, I mean, I loved Mexico City so much. I love it so much. I would stay there. I mean, it's a very livable city, but I felt the same way when I was in Medellin. So it's like, I don't know, everywhere I go, I love the food in Spain. I loved like just Mexico was great because I traveled to a bunch of different places, and it's like mountains, tropical beaches. Oh, this awesome city. Great. But yeah, I don't know. I could never say like what my favorite place is, because it changes every time I go somewhere new.
And you have a travel blog now. You've been blogging for a while.
Yes.
Where was your first travels? Where did your writing begin? I want to hear about how that all got started.
My writing began when I was a little kid, when I was just a little girl in Beverly, Massachusetts. I don't know. I started writing when I was a kid. We would have to write stories for class, and then I was like writing in my free time, little like poems or little like short stories or like songwriting. And I got into some program for like gifted children or something, which sounds ridiculous when I say it. People always look at me like I'm crazy, but so a teacher recommended me for that because of my writing. And I was like a little different than the other kids there because they were all like, I feel like they were all like genius level. And I was like, I think I was there for my creativity, which I was smart too, but they were like, you know, super smart, like whatever. So I felt like I didn't quite fit in with them, but it was really great. So I've been writing forever, ever, as long as I can remember, like knowing how to write.
In college, you ended up in Australia, right?
In college, I went to Sydney and I did an internship abroad, and I was writing for a local newspaper. And that was amazing. I was majoring in legal studies in college. So like the writing thing was really pushed way, way back. And I was doing this internship program, and I ended up writing for a newspaper, and they don't have quite the same internship system that we have here in America. I was an employee. I was just doing work there and not getting paid, but I mean, getting credits. But there was no coffee runs. I remember my first day, they asked me to schedule an interview and write up an article. And I was like, just go and talk to them? What do you mean? So that impacted my life in two huge ways. One was that I got to feel how it was to be a published writer. That felt amazing, having my name in the byline. I guess three ways. The other thing is learning to interact with people on that professional level and call them and schedule interviews when I really hated calling people and I hoped that they wouldn't answer the phone. Having to do that was really great. And then the other thing is I learned, whoa, I love traveling. And that changed the whole trajectory of my entire life because I never knew before, you know, I didn't travel much before that. So I was in Australia and I was like, you know, it's pretty similar. Like people speak English and it's like a majority Christian nation, right? Not religious, but just thinking, oh, they're pretty similar to us. And I went and it was like, whoa, like there are so many cultural differences. And then there are also so many things that are like universal throughout all cultures. And it just made me really fascinated. And it made me realize that, wow, I've been living in this tiny little bubble and there's so much to see. And I still feel that way now. And I've never stopped feeling that way.
Yeah. I feel like we've just in the last few years started doing more traveling and like taking our kids and going out of the country and going places. And I feel like it's one of the most powerful experiences because you don't realize how tiny your world is until you leave it, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then it's like, holy shit, there's so much to experience out there. And there's so many beautiful, wonderful people and culture and food and fashion and all kinds of stuff.
It's kind of like you have this idea that I don't know, I'm like an adult, intelligent person, right? And you think you know some things. And then the more you travel, it's like, oh, well, maybe I'm completely wrong about everything. Maybe I don't know anything. Like what I knew was like this little pencil eraser, like balancing on the tip of an iceberg. I mean, there's just so much. And having more of a global perspective is like, whoa. I mean, I feel like the world would be a better place if more people got out of their own backyards and started traveling. And there's different ways of doing things, different foods, different customs. Like, I just think it's really good to get out there.
Speaking of the backyard, I told Lisa we have to have Toni on because when I read your how to quarantine in the backyard entry, like Lisa and I were like talking about things we could do and this and that, and I was like, oh my gosh, my friend wrote about this. We got to talk about it on the podcast. And things are obviously lifting now a little bit. And you've actually written quite a few entries about quarantine and all that business, and all that business. But could you share with us and just our listeners, of course, we're going to encourage our listeners to check out your blog. It's awheelinthesky.com, and Toni will mention that a little bit later once we start wrapping things up. But could you tell us like your inspiration about writing about how to quarantine in your backyard and all that business? All that business again. I keep saying all that business.
Oh, he's given us the business.
The business.
So not so figurative backyard, but all right, full disclosure, I love quarantine. I didn't realize how like introverted I must be because I am loving it so much. But one of the things that has been a really awesome side effect for me, someone who's always on the go, I'm like in the airports, hotels, different cities, and I've been just like stuck in Boston. And like, sure, Boston's great, but I'm not usually stuck in one place for that long. And so since I haven't been able to travel, I had time to do kind of all these things that I wouldn't otherwise make time to do. So I've been exploring different places in Massachusetts, like tiny little Massachusetts. Who knew there were all these like nature reserves where I could go hiking, or like tiny little Rhode Island, take a little day trip. And I've gotten to really appreciate home in a new way, not my actual backyard, but like my little state, my little home area. And it's like, no matter where you are, no matter how long you've been there, I was just encouraging people to kind of experience what I did and get out there again, but like put your fresh eyes on and like look around. And it's springtime and the flowers are blooming, and like meandering through city streets in Boston and getting lost in brownstones and like these trees. And I felt so grateful that I had this time to appreciate home more. We tend to, I don't know if all of us do. I won't say we, but I tend to be like, all right, what's next? Let me go somewhere new. And that's the place that's awesome, exciting. And I learned like, whoa, there's so much right here, right in your own backyard that you can find if you have the right mindset and you're looking out for it.
I agree. And I've had that same experience in quarantine. I've been talking about my little oasis that I've created on my patio that I've never used in the 8 years that I've been here. And I mean, I like live out there now. And to have this new appreciation, like just because I too, as owning a pet care company and pet sitting, I was always out of the house, and I couldn't wait until I got out of the house because all these different houses I got to stay in, and all, I wanted to keep moving. And so learning to put on that different pair of glasses and really truly be grateful for my home. Like the other night I looked around and I'm like, I do love my home. Like I've totally changed my office where I love it. I love it. And just riding my bike again. I hadn't ridden my bike. I've talked about it on probably every single podcast, but it's this new
all pleasures.
really, and
Really?
like, I think I want to keep it this way, and that's going to change the way I do my business. I'm like, I want to ride my bike every day. I want to do yoga every morning. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do this hustle and bustle thing. And so starting there, and God, Boston in the summertime, like seeing your pictures of Boston, because I would go to school around this time and around college. And it is so beautiful and like just a magical world.
Well, imagine how beautiful it is when there's no cars on the road and it's just like people walking in the middle of the street at rush hour. It's amazing. I'm like, do we really have to do rush hour traffic again? But yeah, it's been so nice. And I feel like when I travel, I have FOMO. So I'm like, I want to see everything. Like, I want to see as much as possible and soak in every moment of this place and everything I can do. And then I'm home and it's like, I'm like, oh no, I live here. Like, oh, this place isn't cool. And it's like, I haven't even seen it. How do I know? I've been to places that I had never heard of before. And like, Massachusetts is tiny. It's wild how like small we make our bubbles because we assume we know things. That's all I got.
Lisa, you got anything?
Do what?
You got anything? I could go on and on with Toni.
No, yeah, you can keep going. I was just going to ask, like with all the traveling that you normally do, like how does that affect you in your like personal life and being grounded? Like, do you find it trouble finding yourself having a home? And do you have trouble finding yourself in a relationship? Like how are those things affected by all the travel?
That's a great question. Yeah, that's you hit me right in the core there, Lisa. Yeah, I do. I have trouble staying grounded. And I don't know if it's because I love my job because I have trouble staying grounded. I think it sort of works really both ways. So it feels like this, I love my job so much, and part of it is because it suits my personality very well to be on the go, something different, changing all the time. And I do have difficulty staying grounded. So it's when I started working, I was in a long-term relationship. And we ended up being together for 6 years, almost, 3 of which I was working as a flight attendant. So I was on the road a lot, and it did start to have a toll at the end. But I think that all to do with me putting in less effort towards the end. So whereas before that, it was more important for me to be home on certain times and we were working together with my schedule, it became more like, oh, well, I have to work. So I guess I just will go to work. And I was homeless. Not homeless, but homeless often. And, but yeah, I do have difficulty like settling, and I have some commitment difficulties. But lately, I have been craving the feeling of like home and sanctuary, and so that's on my radar. I'm like, I don't know if it's quarantine or what, but I've been like listening to these little cravings, like, okay, maybe it's time that we start to look for a more permanent place, not really permanent, but somewhere to have like, I don't know, somewhere to have a little sanctuary that I can come back to, at least when I need to. But it can be difficult schedule-wise for a relationship. People told me for years, like, oh, this job is so hard to have a relationship. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing just fine. And then, of course, we ended the relationship, and then I was dating, and I was like, no, seems easy to me. Like, I'm not having any trouble with this part. And I don't know. Only time will tell. But I think for someone like me who craves changing it up and being gone all the time, it's sort of like one way or another, whatever I was doing, I would find a way to be doing the coming and going. So it just so happens that it's for work, which is a much better excuse than I just like need time away from you for a few days, I guess. So yeah, so it's going to have to be okay with whoever I end up with. If I end up with someone, I have no idea. Yeah, it can take a toll.
What have been some of your passion projects that you've been up to recently?
Oh gosh, so I've been working on polishing up the blog. I'm learning about marketing and search engine optimization and Pinterest. And I have a YouTube channel that I'm like just getting started. And I'm thinking about creating another channel because I just have all this content in my head that I want to create. And it's a bit scattered, which is kind of like how everything in my life is. But
like what kind of content?
So my blog is focused on travel and flight attendant life. So tell flight attendant secrets and travel stuff and a little bit of personal stuff thrown in. I have a YouTube channel right now, and it's called Hotel Bathroom Sing-Alongs, and this is a music channel. I've been writing songs since I was a kid, and I decided, you know what, this is the year. I am gonna sing them for people to hear and not just my shower. And so I made this YouTube channel, and I thought, oh, this is like so kitschy and fun because I'm in hotels all the time. And I'll just sing in hotel bathrooms and call it Hotel Bathroom Sing-Alongs. So,
I love that, by the way.
Oh, good. Maybe you could be my 4th subscriber.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're in the early stages. I haven't been too vocal about it or public about it because it's a big step. It's in terms of vulnerability, it's a lot. But we're getting there, and before this quarantine is officially over, it's going live. And then the other content I'm interested in creating is more related to activism. It's something that's important to me, and I feel like the biggest impact that I could have with my, I don't know, talents or whatever my abilities that I have, which is a storyteller. I think that would be the biggest impact that I could have. Basically, helping other people to understand where they can go, resources, like easy steps to, I don't know, being better in all different kinds of ways. And so
what do you feel passionate about as far as activism? Like,
oh, well, I'm a liberal melting pot. I mean, certainly like with everything that's going on in the news right now with George Floyd, it's heartbreaking. Ahmaud Arbery was heartbreaking. And every single time something like this happens, and by something like this, I mean a person of color is murdered senselessly, it's like every time I'm like snapped back to reality and like, oh, yep, you forgot for a second because you're so lucky to live the life that you live. But yeah, we're still here. And I care so much, but I have not done enough. Like I've donated money and I run in honor of people and things like that. But I really want to find a way to dive deeper and to be more impactful for things.
I feel the same way. I'm actually just ordering some books and getting on waiting lists all about anti-racism. And I'm like, okay, well, what is the best way I can help? Well, how I can help is first by educating myself, right? Yeah. And I'm like, who can we get on this podcast to come talk to us and about this kind of stuff? Because I'm like, I need to educate myself before I can go, because I need to know what I'm talking about before I go out there.
Right. Absolutely. So, yeah.
What else do you love about activism? Any other passions?
Oh, well, I mean, literally I'm a feminist, of course. I'm a member of the LGBTQ plus everything community, right? So every gay, straight, bi, whatever, everybody writes equality, just like equality across the board. Environmentalism. I mean, we're just like, killing the planet. So I take small steps, but all these things that I'm taking like little steps towards and that are a part of my life in a small way, unless I'm talking after a couple of glasses of wine and then I'm like, oh, the biggest activist in the world, right? So I'll argue with anybody, but I just want to lean into those things and become more involved. And right now I'm super lucky that I have this time. I'm on leave from work. They don't want us coming in. They're like, take leave. We don't want to pay you. So I have all this time, and it's like, what an opportunity to take this time and do something more meaningful. So that's kind of what I'm gearing up for. And I'm a big fan of wildlife. I rescued a butterfly today. He was, I thought he was dead.
Swallowtail. It's very special.
I thought he was dead, but he was in the street. And I was like, if he's not dead, it's the circle of life. Like you can't save him. And then I was like, no, I must try. I have to go back. So I captured this dying butterfly and named him Bert, and he's in here with a sugar water covered paper towel. I'm trying to revive him right now.
So do we?
Well, we'll be sending Bert all the positive vibes.
Oh, thank you. It was just like, I hope I'm not doing him more damage than good. I'm just trying to will him back to life with my love.
Well, this has been so great, Toni. I'm so glad that you came on. Thank you so much. For our listeners, if they want to reach out to you, learn more about you, follow you, where can they find you?
You can find me at awheelinthesky.com is my blog if you want to check out some of that stuff. You can find me on Instagram, the A Wheel, and you can email me. You can post my email in the link. I wouldn't even spell it out because it's too many letters to remember with my full name, but so.
And is Hotel Singalongs up on YouTube yet? It is, right?
Oh yeah, it is on YouTube. See, that's how much I haven't publicized yet. So yeah, hotel bathroom singalongs. It will blow your mind. But check it out. Let me know if you have any tips or want to collaborate.
Hit subscribe.
Yeah, hit subscribe. Oh, see, I'm the worst YouTuber. I don't even know to say that yet. Okay, we're all learning. We'll get there.
Well, thank you so much again. This has been so much fun, and thank you for the laughs. I needed the belly laughs, and of course, I love seeing you. And best wishes to Bert. Keep us posted. And that's it. Thank you.
Oh, also, just so your listeners know, if anybody cares to become a flight attendant, not that it's the best time to be like joining the ranks at the moment, but if you have any questions or have like wondered what it's like to be a flight attendant or want information on how to be one, or if you're think like maybe you would want to do that, please feel free to get in touch via my email or my social media, because I will sell you this job. It is amazing, and I have tons of good info. So
awesome.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Toni. Happy Friday. Happy Friday.